dude, I can imagine a lot of money is going to come through that one. If
Hope
it's
so.
if it's $500 per
I
ticket.
mean, Vincent Keimer, the German, he was the only German participating, right? Because I think it was in Germany he was invited.
And he won. He won, right?
He won the whole thing, yeah. $200,000 as well. So it's not bad for. I think he's like 19 or 20 years old as well.
Dude, what? Okay.
So, pretty sweet.
Pretty sweet. Funny thing, I saw Tado. I think you asked him, or somebody asked you, are you going to talk to Carlson? And then you asked Tado, hey, Tado, you want me to say something to Carlson for you? And he said, no, I want to hear about Tanya. Nobody else. To be fair, a very pretty young woman. Young, I say young. I stalked her a little bit. I stalked her. How old do you think she is?
Probably something 30s, late 30s maybe?
Yeah, 38.
Yeah.
Looks so much young. There's not a worse feeling in the world when you see somebody who's actually your age, but looks like 10 years younger. That's the feeling that I had right there.
I have that as well.
All right. Hello there, everybody. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'm Majmocha.
And I'm the Viper.
And this is episode 26 of the Town Center, your podcast dedicated to all things Age of Empires. In today's show, you get a DLC. You get a DLC. Everybody gets a DLC. Well, except our brothers and sisters over at Age of Empires 3, who had their DLC unfortunately canceled. Not much is known yet about the new DLC coming to Age of Empires 2, but we'll discuss the little that has been revealed so far. Then, listeners of the Town Center podcast heard it here first. The Fox team has disbanded. I had a chat with Spirit Tact, that's the founder of Fox, so I'll be able to share with you guys a few things that went on behind the scenes. And as always, we'll keep you up to date on the current announcements and ongoing tournaments. If you enjoy our show and would like to support us, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And remember, we're also available on Spotify. And if that's how you prefer to listen to us, don't forget to rate us 5 stars. Yeah, I like that you know what's coming.
I'm getting used to it.
Yeah, I like that.
Speaking of Fox, quickly, just like someone on this podcast, I think 2 episodes ago maybe, was suggesting that a big team was disbanding.
Okay, so you heard what I say, but you didn't pay attention to what I say. I said you heard it here first. Why did you hear it here first?
Because you were referring to that.
Yes,
okay. I mean, usually I just ignore half your intros.
Well aware. Today we're gonna sort of have to speed run the whole thing because we need to be over by the time Viper's baby wakes up. So by the way, it's just the two of us. I don't remember when was the last time. Right? It was just the two. Well, okay, thank you.
I prefer to have guests.
Well, now I know. I don't even remember when was the last time. It was just the two of us. A couple of episodes ago for sure.
Definitely. I mean, we had Dash, Gideon.
You know what I think? It was before you went for your paternity leave thing. I think that was the last one we did together. Was that the last one? Yeah, Damn, I think so.
That's a long time,
episode
actually.
15, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah.
That's like July.
Yeah,
then,
right after a kid was born, basically, or like a couple of days before. All right, so as we just said before, a new DLC for Age of Empires 2 has now been announced, and as opposed to the last 2 DLCs, this one will have new civilizations for ranked multiplayer. So far, 2 screenshots have been released, which seem to heavily imply the DLC is all about China, and the expectation is that the current civilization will be split into several different civilizations, much like they did with the Indians back in the day. And so, first of all, do you actually know any details? Will you have to pretend that you don't know anything, or you're just in the dark, just as everybody else here? Oh, you do know some stuff.
First of all, you said that the screenshots imply that it's from China. Didn't they say it's from like the China? They said it right outright.
I didn't. Did they say it outright?
Did I say it outright? Mention that.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it might be the case. But in any case,
screenshots also imply.
Pretty obvious. Yes, it's very, very obvious. Yeah, so you do have some inside knowledge?
No, actually, I have zero inside knowledge. Like, completely real talk here, guys. Normally, or more often, I will sit there and be like, oh, yeah, I don't know, but I actually know. This time, I actually don't know anything.
Well, after you say that, how do we know now?
If you're going to know
there you go. What can we do with that information? Yeah, in any case, so first thoughts on the whole thing.
Well, it was been kind of in the cards that like they would do this with more civilizations, right? Because they did it with Indians, and as soon as they did it with the Indian civilization, suddenly it was like, okay, what other civilizations could be potential outliers for this type of treatment? And then Chinese is an obvious one, right? I personally would also love to see Vikings split up so I can play with like Norway or the North, that would be cool. But down the road, one step at a time. I'm excited. I think also like first look on the screenshots, right? I also did kind of a deep dive to try and figure out, okay, what are we seeing here? And there's definitely a couple of new units. We have the Camel Trebuchet, for example, which looks silly. There's some Fire Lancers. There is also Siege Onagers for a Chinese civilization, which we haven't seen before. So also like this Nest of Beasts kind of thing from Age of Empires 4, looking thing, which is like firework, organ gun type of style. Obviously, this is just prediction. We don't actually know how the unit is going to function. But yeah, it is exciting, and yeah, after a couple of single player focused DLCs, it's nice to finally get some new breath of fresh air into the competitive scene as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so just as you said with the Chinese, well, you were assuming one of the civs is going to be still like roughly the Chinese that we have right now.
Mm-hmm.
And so indeed in one of the screenshots, you saw like Chuko nudes and siege onagers. But a lot of people have said it's probably a scenario screenshot, so you never really know if that's because of the scenario, because the tech tree in the scenarios is sometimes very different. So yeah, it's a lot of times it's a matter of really knowing if this is a scenario or not. So you can't really take too many conclusions, because there were towers that had other architecture as well. So you never know.
You know what would be really cool? If they made Chugunu like an archery range unit for all the Chinese civilizations and then gave them all a different unique unit. Like you could replace Archer with the Chugunu, and there's like it will be a weaker version in Feudal Age, obviously. But
interesting.
I think something like that would add a lot of spice and uniqueness to civilizations, right? Where you just completely replace a unit. I mean, but that's like what AoE 4 had, right? You had different units from the same buildings of different civilizations, and it wasn't always successful. But like I think that is a cool concept of an idea, right? That would be cool, but I don't expect that to happen, right? I expect one civilization, like you said, to stay the same. Not the same exactly, maybe, but have Chugunu as a unique unit and then have small alterations to keep it something similar to current Chinese. What I'm curious about, though, is like, are all of them going to have the similar Chinese opening as we have now, where you start with 6 vills, 0 food?
Never really know. Yeah. One thing that I think that's not even that impossible, Orion, because you remember with the Indians, the Elephant Archer used to be the unique unit for the Indians, and then it became a regional unit. Yeah. And I think it's heavily implied that at least one unit is going to be a regional unit, that it's going to be available to all of the civs. It could be the Steppe Lancer. I saw Spirit of the Law.
The Fire Lancer likely to be the
You
unit.
See, I think the Fire Lancer. Okay, well,
I have
your
no
guess is
knowledge.
as good as mine. Yeah, your guess is as good as anyone else's. But in any case, yeah. So, Spirit of the Law was speculating that the best. I wanted to say best of bees. It's a nest of bees. Why is it such a tongue twister? Maybe it's not.
It's not been one for me for my whole career.
The nest of bees. He was speculating that might be the one that's regional, because you see it for at least 2 different civilizations in the screenshots, or at least 2 different colors. You never really know, right?
The question is, what unit is the nest of bees? Is it a replacement?
Replacing the Scorpion. What was his speculation, which I'm not sure if it could be, because Scorpion has a bonus with the Chinese. Yeah. So removing that bonus would have to give, so it's hard to tell.
They could just remove that bonus completely and have it played around like as a different bonus within this,
and but put the bonus for the best in either. I want to say it again. You kidding?
If you remove the Scorpion from Chinese, suddenly like Khmer team bonus is irrelevant for Chinese. The synergy is gone. I don't know. Is that something they want to do?
Was there ever one?
Yeah, it's an option, right? But initially I was thinking like in AoE 4, Nest of Bees was their equivalent to the Mangonel. And it's like, but here it cannot be, because we see a siege onager, right? But then again, if it's just a scenario picture,
if removing the siege onager line, that would be ridiculous. I think you cannot remove that one.
Now that it gave Scorpions ballistics, and suddenly you take it away from a civilization, I don't think that's right either.
Yeah, I think you're making the unit a little bit more unique. In any case, I think, speaking regional units, I love it. I think it adds an amazing flavor to the civs. What they did with the Savar, I think it's great.
Yeah,
everybody knows what the unit does. It's supposed to be heavy cavalry. It's a little bit different,
well.
Right? It's a little bit different, not too different, and the unit looks cool. You gotta say the unit looks really cool. So I'd be totally in favor of doing that a little bit more. Regional units for specific civilizations, 100% sure.
It also, if they do that with more civs, it also gives them the option to balance the game more for different civilizations as well, right? You have like a civ that might be struggling on the infantry front. Well, if they have some historical infantry unit that could be incorporated, why not, right? And then it can balance that unit as well to help the civilization. And also, infantry units need some help as well, so that would be good.
Mm-hmm. You said there was like a guy, wasn't it that there like a guy with like a Morning Star type of weapon? I was thinking it looked like the guys on, now I know about this, the guy from Lord of the Rings.
The Witch King.
No, wasn't it the Nazgul, something like that? Okay, sorry. Did I embarrass myself?
The Witch King is one of the 9 Nazgul.
It's one of them. Okay. All right. Well, but looked cool. The weapon looked cool. I was wondering if it could be like an infantry with 1 range or something like that, like we have for the Kameyuka. I mean, it could be anything. Charge attack maybe as well. Could be cool.
Who knows, right?
And then the Fire Lancer, I think, I mean, it's surely not the only reason, but it could be, you know, a way of appeasing the historical accuracy crowd, you know, because people always complain that the Chinese don't have gunpowder, and the Chinese have actually invented the gunpowder in real life.
I'm pretty sure if, like, my prediction is that they turned the Chinese Civ to 3 civilizations. One stays roughly the same, and then 2 more. I mean, it could be 4. I don't know how many options they have, right? Because I have no knowledge about these things. I'm just guessing here.
Well, if you do, you're doing a good job of faking it. So
if there is like 4 new civilizations suddenly, I think that's a lot, right? So I think 2 new civs is fine. Well, in quotes, 3 new civs. And yeah, I'm pretty sure like whatever changes they make, all 3 civs will have some sort of gunpowder. I just can't imagine them not having it at this point.
Well, the current Chinese probably is going to stay roughly the same. Well,
I think they will give them something.
You think you're going to give a gunpowder thing? Well, the dynasties of India was 4 civs that were in. So it's like, what was it? So it's Hindustanis plus the Dravidians, Bengalis, Gurjaras. So it's four civs. So they said it's an unprecedented scope in terms of how much is going to be in this DLC. Or
7 new civs. Let's go. We don't have enough civs already. Let's go.
7. Yes, let's go. You said something interesting. I actually watched your video about the DLC patch, about the announcement. Yeah, so one of those views was mine.
Thank you.
And you talked about one of the units that seemed like it could be like an unpacking and packing unit.
Yeah.
Do you remember? And it left me wondering, because I mean, so much speculation going on here, but that's what we're here for. In one of the alpha versions of the game, I don't know if you know this, TCs used to be able to, there used to be like nomadic civilization, so you could move your TC. And was that not in Age of Empires 4 with one of the cities?
It is in Age of Empires 4 with Mongols, though. And I feel like if they were to do anything like that mobile stuff with AoE 2, it would probably also go in that direction towards the Mongols.
Okay, so you don't see that coming. Is there any advantage? Actually, I was wondering, is there any advantage to just moving your TC?
In Age of Empires 2, yeah, for sure. It will be especially
you lose so much time. I mean, in Feudal Age, you would lose so much time.
It depends on how long it takes to go down, go up, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's the way they balanced it in AoE 4 as well, to make it like Mongols could move every single building they had, right? You could unpack it and move it.
Every single one. Okay.
Yeah. So it's like there has to be like some sort of, and there was technologies that could speed it up, for example. So it always has to be balanced. But in AoE 2, yes, it could be advantageous, but again, it always depends on how fast it is. But yeah, I don't think Chinese will have that. And also, someone in the YouTube comment section on my video were suggesting that it was just a visual thing, and those are also scenario editor.
Okay,
units,
so
right?
like eye candy or whatever.
It could be just eye candy. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. One thought that I've had, and I wonder, what do you think about this? Because currently, in my opinion, the Chinese, as we have them today, right now, are actually an amazing civilization in terms of design, in my opinion. Well, not only as a Civ, obviously, but that's part of it too, because it's incredibly unique. Obviously, you have the beginning, the start that nobody else has. It has a very high skill ceiling. I mean, if you're someone somewhere in the 1k elo range, you probably won't be able to take advantage of all the bonuses, the harder than usual start and stuff like that. So you have a very unique civilization that happens to be very good on a lot of maps, and it has a very high skill ceiling. So in my opinion, that speaks for the quality of the design of the Civ. Aren't you afraid that if they start tweaking too much, that they're going to break the balance of the Civ that I believe is incredibly well designed?
I mean, they can always rebalance down the road if they do something bad, right?
Right. I mean, they tend not to do that.
Did you see how
the start,
Cumans was released? In what state Cumans was released?
I do remember, yes.
If we run into like a month of severely OP Chinese civilizations, that's fine, right? We have fun, we mess around with it, make some good content out of it, and then they will balance it, right? If there's a unified roar from the viewers and the players and the community that, hey, this is not fine, this is broken, trust me, the devs will fix that ASAP.
They usually react, yeah. And the thing is, balancing is just such a fine thing. You know how it is, right? You tweak one little thing here, and suddenly the Civ is just totally crazy. Yeah. I mean, with the case of the Step Lancers that you were alluding to right there, it was like their collision box was smaller than usual, that they could stack together, and that made them unbeatable when Cumans and Tatars were released. That was part of it, at least.
A combination of Cuman's town center that wasn't slower to build, like the second town center wasn't slower to build as well.
Yeah, before the Civ were released, they didn't have a limit on how many TCs you could build. You could build as many TCs as you wanted.
Was it unlimited as well?
Yeah, it was unlimited. Wow. I remember a lot of people complaining about it, and then it changed. But
I know as well, like in the past, Malians, for example, they also had a wood discount on their farms, and they had halberdiers
and arbalests, I think. No,
Arbalest,
wait. They have
Arbalest still.
bracer. They had
Oh, they had
bracer
as well?
too.
Oh, Jesus
Man,
Christ!
there
what
were
a tip.
so many. There were so many broken things. I remember organ guns with no minimum range too.
Yeah.
That one should have gone away.
But there are multiple reasons to release civs in a in quotes OP state, right? First of all, encourage people to buy them because they're fun to play with and strong. Secondly, and especially in this case as well, imagine how big of a Chinese audience that could come back to Age of Empires, right? That's something I haven't thought much about, but like I imagine, I mean, Chinese community has been one of our biggest communities historically speaking, right? I'm not sure how big it is currently, but I could easily see thousands of people come back just to try the new civilization, right? And who knows, maybe a Chinese sponsor picks up the game again and is like, oh, damn, this is cool now. I want to see more of this, right? And this could all snowball, right?
That's a very, very good point. And I think I heard a lot of people saying that the Chinese community is very engaged and happy that they're getting campaigns too. So that their history is going to be talked about and stuff like that. Very good point, actually. Very good point. Actually, there's another thing coming with this DLC, which is the announcement that the game is going to be available for the PS5.
True.
And I talked a little bit with Nilly about it, again, in his capacity as private citizen, not as a tournament coordinator. Need always to make this clarification. And he said that it's a bigger deal than the DLC. And I guess it's, again, just this thing that, you want to expand the player base as much as possible. And, man, kudos to Microsoft, in my opinion. They're doing everything they can to expand their player base. It's Xbox, it's PS5 now. And PS5 has a bigger player base, at least a general player base than Xbox. So that could be crazy.
But I don't think that the PS5 extension is not AoE 2 specific, right? It is more bigger Microsoft Xbox picture. They are going to release a lot more of their titles to PlayStation 5 as well. I think they're even thinking to get rid of exclusivity completely. So it's not like they're doing this for Age of Empires 2. I'm pretty sure this is just a part of a bigger push.
No, sure, but it can't hurt, right?
I mean, obviously. Yeah.
Suddenly you have so many more people joining, yeah.
It just sounded like that you presented it as they were doing this with Age of Empires 2, But,
I mean, I don't expect our game to be big enough to that point. But again, it's a big deal. Yeah. I mean, in the same sense that I think this coming for Xbox was a big deal, this is an even bigger player base that could be joining Age of Empires 2, which is awesome. Mm-hmm. And actually, I think it would be cool at some point to have here someone who's actually a controllable player. I mean, an actual console controllable player and not Dave. Not Dave. Just are they happy with the controls? I mean, I guess for campaigns it's going to be totally fine, but how is it for competitive players and all of that? I saw recently one guy made it to, was it 1700, 1800 on the ranked ladder? On the crossover ranked ladder.
That is impressive for sure. But there's you can also connect mouse and keyboard to consoles, right? So it's not that you have to play a controller.
That's true, but I think the point of the whole thing was that he was using the controller. Otherwise, what's the point of bragging?
I'm not referring to that in particular. But,
yeah. I mean, otherwise, what's the point of bragging if you're using keyboard and mouse anyway?
Or you can pretend that you use controller.
It could pretend, yeah, that's fair.
Elon Musk.
Let's not get into that. One stupid idea potentially. This is a little bit off topic, but it's just one. I promise. It's a little bit off topic, probably. But don't you find stupid when you see those kinds of fights between ranged units? And people just click left and right really fast to make sure that the ballistics doesn't hit you. Don't you find that stupid when you see that happening?
I mean, if I didn't know the game and I just looked at it from a purely objective standpoint, yes, it looks kind of dumb.
Looks stupid. What do you think about this as a solution? What about introducing a formation, just like any other formation, but this formation makes your units fire one after the other and not at the same time? What do you think about that? Because then you moving around like that doesn't really help you. Because wouldn't that be cool? It's sort of because I think it's stupid that ballistics can be ignored in this manner.
Did Doubt pay you for this or what?
No, he did not. But I think it's just something that came to mind as I was watching. I don't know who it was. And it's not even hard to execute, right? You just click left, right.
But I'm just thinking, I mean, like it is not easy to execute either, right? Because units fire rate and so people do split up into multiple groups to fire at different timings anyway, right? But obviously part of it is microing all that stuff while still macroing at home, right? That's part of the skill set here. But I could imagine a lot of newer players as well wouldn't realize that they can switch that mode, and suddenly you have they have it activated on 40 units, that would leave 30.
Well, no, you do it in a group. Yeah, I guess.
Yeah,
Well,
if you-
I don't know. Hey, if someone thinks this is a good idea, let me know.
I mean, you want MBL to get on the show to talk about that as well?
Well,
Dumbing down the game, making
what
it
do you-
easier.
Oh, so you think you would be against it? No,
It's,
because
it's the same as auto farming, auto micro.
I guess, but in this case, it's not even that much of a big deal. I would think, because it's only really going to affect that one particular instance.
Yeah, but it does take away a skill set of splitting your units as well to like fire at different timings, right?
Mm-hmm,
So,
all right, well, something.
I personally think it's
Maybe to think
it's
about
not
it. You think
important.
it's stupid? Just say.
Also, part of the thing of getting on top of, like, if someone is doing that micro, right, you just have to try and like micro slow it towards them and get on top of them, right? So they cannot do that anymore. But yeah, obviously we'll have a lot of situations where you just have that dancing back and forth, and at this point, it is what it is.
Yeah, it is what it is. It's part of the game, maybe. Okay, so in what I feel was like maybe one of the first really bad news we had in the franchise in a long time, Age of Empires 3 had their long announced DLC cancelled, and if that wasn't bad enough, there were also very strong indications that the game will stop receiving patches too. This was announced on the same day we recorded last episode, actually, so a lot has already been said about this. Have you ever played Age of Empires 3? What's your take on the whole thing?
Yeah, no, I played a fair bit of it, I think in like a couple of years ago. Me and Dowd, Taro, etc. were dabbling around in AoE 3.
Ooh,
and
cool.
no, I think actually the game is underrated, right? It was quite fun to play it, right? But it's obviously quite gimmicky and like snowbally with the shipments, functions, and all that stuff. So in the end, I try a lot of games and I always come back to AoE 2, right? I think a lot of people have the similar story, but no, it's obviously a bit sad that the game apparently is not going to get the DLC that was promised and seemingly potentially getting all support dropped. But I mean, you never know, right? Maybe they've seen the community respond, and maybe they think, okay, you know what? Let's just give them something, right? Who knows? They've done like in the end, AoE 3 was also given so much more treatment than it deserved. Honestly, like not from a quality of the game perspective, but like the amount of players and such, the amount of love the game has received. That goes for AoE 2 as well. Like we're getting such a good treatment compared to other games of similar size and similar player base, and I think in the end, while we can obviously be disappointed and sad, the fact that AoE 2 even got so many new DLCs and so much support should also be, we should be grateful for that as well at the same time, right? Mm-hmm. There's nuance to everything, but obviously, yeah, recency bias, we're all going to feel disappointed that AoE 3 is not getting what was promised.
Mm-hmm. While I totally agree with that, I think at the end of the day, Microsoft is a business. If the business is not adding up, these are the kinds of things that will happen. In any case, I think it's funny because I remember in an earlier episode of this podcast, 4 or 5 or whatever, we were talking about the fact that Age of Empires 3 was one of the first ones to introduce skins, or kind of skins. They had like this cosmetic packs or whatever, and I think it's like skins for units, and the free-to-play system too. Mm-hmm. And at the time, it felt to me like it was like Microsoft trying things out to see if it actually works. And my guess is they didn't see, because there was a bump in the number of people playing the game. A very clear bump. You can see that on the Steam charts too. But my guess is that those people who started playing the game didn't really convert into people who would pay for the game. And if you're about to release a DLC, it's funny because ironically, a lot of people actually going into the free-to-play might be bad for a game, because then it gives the signal that these folks are willing to play the game without paying for it. But if you really have to pay for it, you're actually not going to play it. And a lot of people started playing the game now, or more people started playing the game now. But since they're only playing the free-to-play version, it's not likely that they're actually going to buy this DLC. Something like that, I would assume, is what probably happened here.
I mean, someone is always mathing in the background, right, to figure out what they should do and what not. And in the end, this is a decision they made. Let's see. I mean, like, Age of Empires have been dead multiple times before. AoE 3 might be also reborn at some point. Who knows?
Well, what I think is going to happen for them is the same thing that happened to us when Age of Empires 3 actually got released. But it's kind of ironic when you think about it, that Microsoft completely dropped Age of Empires 2, and then it had to be picked up by Movable and IGZ Zone or whatever it is. I think in the case of Age of Empires 3, it's ESOC, the ESOC community. I think they're the guys who kept the whole thing alive for a long time too.
Well, let's wish them best of luck and hope that hopefully Microsoft will come back to the game at some point. Let's hope.
Yeah, there were several signs, right, that Age of Empires 3 was always a bit of a black sheep in the franchise. They were not in any of the Red Bulls and stuff like that.
I mean, but that's the thing, right? When you don't have enough player base to justify investment, it's just how it's going to play out, right?
Yeah. Again, I totally expect the community to pick it up and make it still a good experience for the people who still want to play it.
What's funny, though, is that people have been like, I mean, like, I understand it at the same time is like, Reddit wars and being like someone even suggested that I quit AoE2 and play AoE3 full time just to like
just to help
just to like something. I don't remember exactly what the reason was, but like, and people want everyone to boycott Age of Empires and such to like make.
I saw the post. I saw the post. Yeah.
I don't play Age of Empires 3. While I do have empathy for what's happening to them, I'm not going to stop playing my game. Like, they could go and, I mean, while it's the same franchise, they could also go to Fortnite Reddit and be like, guys, stop playing Fortnite to show solidarity with AoE3, right?
Right. Well, it's a bit of a desperation attempt. And dude, I understand it.
Of course.
People have passion for these things. You understand it for sure. They didn't let the bad news about Age of Empires 3 hang in the air for too long, though. And just 2 days later, I think it was, they announced not only the Age of Empires 2 DLC, but also the next DLC for AoM, called Immortal Pillars, also focused on the Chinese, and 2 new DLCs for Age of Empires 4. So are you going to give AoM another crack now? Because you stopped playing it, at least on stream.
Yeah, I'll probably play it once the DLC is out just to see what the new civs are like. But yeah, like, I mean, I did enjoy AoM a lot, but it's like with limited time, I have to kind of prioritize what I play, and AoE2 is just still the king. It was cool to, I mean, like, we knew that they were going to do a Chinese DLC. It was already promised beforehand, but you never know what their promises anymore.
I think a second one has been promised, isn't it? Because I remember I bought the premium version, and the premium version had like 2 DLCs promised or whatever. Yeah.
One of them is the Chinese one, so it's no surprise there. Chinese DLC was released in the past as well, but they have reworked and remade everything because people were not happy with the previous Chinese DLC. So
the extended edition, I think.
Exactly.
It was, right?
And then AoE4, you said there were 2 new DLCs for AoE4 announced?
2 have been announced, right?
Okay,
so
cool.
Great news, right? And just a little bit on the AoM thing still. It's impressive, and I don't know if in a good way or a bad, well, definitely in a bad way, that the player base, it seemed so healthy at some point in AoM, but they really took a hit. I mean, maybe that was expected by Microsoft. I'm not sure. In any case, right now they have roughly 2.5K monthly average player base, average users that play every day, and that's even below Age of Empires 3 that has 4K monthly. But again, what I think is happening here is that from AoM, all those folks are paying customers, and they are expected to actually buy this DLC. And in the case of AoE 3, not necessarily. And I also think the campaigns in AoM have a very, very good reputation in the community, right? So a lot of folks are probably just going to buy just to try it out. Let's see how this feels like, right?
It's the same as with AoE2. There's going to be a ton of people buying the single-player content, whether they don't play actively every day or play multiplayer. They're still going to come back for the single-player content, and that's the same with Age of Mythology, right? Age of Mythology, hands down, probably one of the best games. Like when it comes to campaign, probably one of the best quality campaigns in any RTS ever. So if they can continue to deliver on that quality with the new DLCs, then only good times ahead, right? Even for a game that right now struggles a bit with the concurrent players. But yeah, I mean, Age of Mythology, I think, even are going to be a part of the Garrison.
They are, in Age of Empires 4 too.
AoE 4 as well. So like, it seems still that AoE 2 is the pillar where it's getting the most support, but they still want to try and keep Mythology and AoE 4 kind of like tagging along a little bit.
Mm-hmm. Again, it's all part of the same studio, and I think that's why it's happening, right? So they want to have as many people interested in the studio as a whole as possible. And yeah, but Age of Empires 4, great news. Obviously, I mean, we're both mostly Age of Empires 2 players, but you, a lot more than me, have dabbled in Age of Empires 4. 2 DLCs in a year. That's crazy. That's good. One of them we knew for sure was going to come. Now it's 2. So is that going to be enough for you to give it another try?
I think my time with AoE4 is gone unless I do like a 24-hour stream where I like, okay, let's sneak in 2 hours
to fill some content.
Exactly. No, I mean, I'm still like when it comes to Age of Empires, I'm a very competitive person, and unless I'm creating some specific content for a game, I don't think I'm gonna dabble too much in like AoE4. Also, AoE4 campaigns never really appeal to me. I haven't even tried it. Right, I've heard mixed opinions, but the whole way is cinematic stuff and everything. It just didn't appeal to me. But yeah, also like, I mean, during Red Bull as well, AoE Age of Empires 4 was like, it was put as the last thing on one of the days, I believe, and it just felt a bit lackluster in many ways. Not the gameplay themselves necessarily, but just the whole attention around it. But it's obviously the main event is still built around Age of Empires 2, so it makes sense that the audience doesn't fill up AoE 4. So if it was a main event AoE 4, I'm sure they would have sold out all tickets as well. But actually, I think the Garrison has also, like, the AoE 4 part was also sold out completely.
Yeah, I assume they have a lot fewer tickets than they have for Age of Empires 2, right? I mean, I'm almost sure that's the case. They were a lot cheaper too, the tickets. So I would assume that was the biggest case.
Unless there's some like combined thing where it's like you buy a whole weekend ticket and you get AoE 4 as well. I don't know. But
I think you can buy specifically for Age of Empires 4 only, yeah.
But point being, yeah, AoE 4, well, I think it's still a good game at its core, and I've heard that it's improved a lot. It's not something I think I could ever go back to at this point.
Okay, you know what I think it's very interesting about Age of Empires 4? The multiplayer player base apparently is roughly the same than Age of Empires 2. I mean, I haven't been able to actually see this and confirm this, because if you go to, like, what's their website, AoE 4 World or something like that, they have like a website where you can see like our AoE 2 insights. They never remove the names of inactive accounts, so it's really hard to tell. I assume there's going to be a better way of doing this. But in any case, people say, yeah. In any case, I assume there's going to be a better way of knowing this. I assume because everybody's spreading this around, at least, that the player base is roughly the same for multiplayer. But the single player for Age of Empires 2 just blows them completely out of the water. I mean, I just checked the numbers just like 2 hours ago or whatever. For Age of Empires 2, it's still 18,000 average players a month. AoE 4, it's 9,000, so it's basically half of it. So I actually went through the trouble yesterday. I watched 2 games, one Age of Empires 4 game and one Age of Empires 2 game right after one another, because I want to like the game. I want to like it. And one thing that I'll say right from the get-go, I remember that the graphics used to really bother me. They don't do anymore. I'm fine with the graphics. I don't understand everything that's happening, but they don't really, repulse me or anything like that. I can actually watch it. So I watched the game, was casted by Aussie Drongo, which I assume you know him personally, right? And then I watched a game from Tristan. First thing I'll say that I thought was funny, it feels like, Tristan was there before Aussie Drongo, I think. Or maybe he wasn't even there before in terms of content creation. Yeah, because he was in AoE 3, right? Exactly. So I'm not sure. But it feels like their humor is very similar. They have the self-deprecating jokes all the times, the awkward laughs. I mean, I love both of them. I thought it was funny. But one thing that really stood out to me, Viper, and I wonder if you feel that this is true as well. In Age of Empires 4, felt to me, you had raids happening throughout the whole game, for sure. But it felt to me like it's one big battle at the end of the game, and whoever wins the battle wins the whole game. Yeah. And then I tune into Age of Empires 2, and you see Tristan, for example, right from minute 5, or I don't know, minute what, really emphasizing how important it is that you're losing villagers. Whoa, he lost a villager. Big thing. And with Age of Empires 4, raids kept happening, but Aussie Drongo was like, yeah, well, there's a couple of vills dying. It was business as usual. And for us, it feels like these tiny little things play such a big role that the casters feel the need to emphasize them. And I think that's one of the big things, maybe potentially, that make me like Age of Empires 2 more, is that there's just more important things happening more often.
That it has been one of the complaints about people watching AoE 4, especially coming from AoE 2, and probably also from like StarCraft, where it's like there's less decisive moments throughout the game, right? But at the same time, the asymmetry of civilizations also makes it so that villagers don't necessarily have the same importance for every civilization. It might be more important for a civ to, it's fine to lose 3-4 vills as long as you get your timing to hit castle age at 8-9 minutes. While in AoE 2, it's obviously, you still have the same core concept of, okay, one villager works the same for me as for you, pretty much. So if you lose suddenly 2-3 vills in AoE 2, that's way more significant than losing 2-3 vills in AoE 4, although losing 2-3 vills in AoE 4 can also be significant. No, I definitely agree with that. It definitely feels a lot more like a macro game, although the pacing is still a bit faster than AoE 2. It is still more of a macro game, except for engagements, where I feel like engagements are a little bit more appealing in terms of gameplay for AoE 2 as well. I mean, you have also in AoE 4 homing missiles, right? Arrows don't miss and things like that.
Well, that I feel like is one thing. If you're used to it, you're not going to really dislike it. If you're not used to, I mean, obviously, I prefer the way Age of Empires 2 works, but I totally understand that if
you just suggested to have staggered micro. Where
listen, it's why it's a good suggestion in my opinion, because it's a half thing. It's a little bit. It's a half thing. It's not homing missiles.
All you're gonna do is trigger people to go even faster.
Oh yeah, maybe. Maybe, who knows? So then, as predicted by the Town Center podcast, the Fox team has disbanded.
You mean as known? You didn't predict anything.
Well, fair enough.
Sometimes taking credit. Guys, 2 months ago, I predicted.
This was announced in a post on Twitter, X, and the players obviously knew about it several weeks in advance, but that means we now have players like Siskan, Mihai, Sebastian, Mark, Gugu, Dark, Guki, and others, of course, without a team. And them having a team in the first place is what we usually credit with them being able to develop so much in the recent past, and really becoming so good as they have. So yeah, my deep analysis here is no bueno. No bueno, bruv. What do you have to say?
Well, I mean, it is obviously sad because it's... I had the pleasure of meeting all of them, and also Spirit. I mean, I didn't get to meet Dark, but like Spirit was also there, the owner of the team.
Spirit Tact.
At Red Bull. And had the pleasure to get to know him a little bit there as well. Super nice guy as well. You could see how passionate he was about the project. Mm-hmm. And I mean, it's sad, right? They had so many good players and Margugo, and they had they all had like some support behind them to like continue developing, as you said. Especially you see Sebastian, right? The rise he had has been like phenomenal. And but yeah, I know you have talked to him specifically, and he has given you the specific reasons as well for why.
Yeah,
so if you can list him first,
so I showed you the conversation because he allowed me to, just to make clear. And he did tell me, by the way, you were talking about Sebastian. He did tell me that Sebastian got offers with a lot more money than he was getting on Fox, and he declined them just because he was so loyal to the team. It's always good to know. Things like that still happen.
We still have doubt.
We still have doubt. No one is offering more. Yeah, so Spirit Act, great guy. He wrote like a huge message talking about his reasons for the whole thing. And, just to make a long story short, what I think happened is that, as you said, he has a huge passion for Age of Empires 2, maybe too much of a passion. He said he was getting addicted to the whole thing, to the whole project. He said he was watching all his players compete in all the games. See, I think they have AoM, or they had AoM, Age of Empires 2, Age of Empires 4. He said he just sat down and just watched the whole team whenever they played, wherever they played. And he felt like he was maybe neglecting his other business, which was actually funding the actual Fox team. He also said to me that he set a limit for himself and how much money he wanted to spend for Fox. He said $2,000 a year when he founded the team in 2022. And in 2024, he spent over $10,000.
$2,000 per year, guys. Per year.
Per year. So that's what the limit that he set for himself. But then he ended up spending more than $10,000 last year. So, and he said, as the team, because he said he was really surprised how well the team was doing. And it's obvious, right? Sebastian, just one of the cases. And he felt like he wouldn't be able to stop himself. He would want more players. He would want more activities for the players. And he just said at some point there needs to be something that cuts it. And this is just his way of doing it. Because at the same time, he also got like a big offer from one of his business. Again, he said what it was. I think it's a restaurant food chain or something.
Something with connection to China as well.
China, yeah, something. Yeah. And I think he's going to move there too, if I understood things correctly. And so I guess that felt to him like, okay, this is a perfect opportunity to just make, let's just cut it here. He contacted a lot of teams as well and let them know, hey, the players are going to be free. If you want to take them, feel free to do that and all of that,
I think he mentioned that it's not impossible that he comes back again in the future.
Yeah, he told me perhaps late 2026. Yeah. That's like the date that he gave me. Feels to me like he's giving himself a lot of time to come back if he really wants to. And
but, still massive credit to him, right, for taking the chance and unselfishly give his time and money to help develop not only the team but the AoE scene, right, as a whole. Having teams like that pushes the whole scene forward. So nothing but respect and kudos to him. And also, like I said, I got to meet him in person. Seems like such a nice guy as well. So
does he play?
I'm not sure how much he plays or how good he is, but all the best to him for whatever comes forward, and hopefully we'll see him again soon.
And One thing that I think it's important to talk about as well is that it was clear to him from the get-go this was never going to make any money for him. So this is not a business that he was expecting to be profitable or anything. Because I think a lot of people have this idea. If it's not making money, I mean, if you're going to make an esport and if it's not making money, it's not worth it.
No.
Truth is, from what one hears, basically no esports team in the world is making money. It's a rough business. It's a rough industry.
That goes further than esports, right? If you look at football clubs, professional football clubs at the highest level, they're burning money left and right. Owners have to come in and save them constantly. Any type of sports and teams and running, like trying to compete in businesses like this, money is often set on fire.
Yeah, do you know Moist Critical? Do you know the YouTuber? Yeah, right. So
I have followed that.
Yeah, so he's got an esports team of his own. He said, I don't know, a couple of months ago, he has like a $5 million deficit in his esports team. Yeah. So a deficit. I mean, he's getting some money, but obviously not enough to offset all the spending. But
his
he said,
YouTube channel is doing okay, though. I think
he's doing fine. He's doing fine. And he said he would do it. He would do it again every single time, just because of how much fun he has doing it.
Exactly.
And I think with a lot of esports teams, that's what's happening. Right? These are people with money. These are people with funds, and they're funding, a passion project. That's fine, right? That's fine. Of course, we hope that at some point in the industry can get to the point where it's actually a viable business. But no.
Yeah. I mean, the issue with the whole industry is that it took off so strong during COVID, right? So everyone got such unreasonable expectations and put like the level up there when it should have been down here. So it kind of exploded because of that. Because, I mean, no one knew where it was going to stop at that point, right? But obviously COVID was always going to fade away slowly and life settled for everyone. And then the reality sinked in, right? And you've seen a lot of esports teams take a hit because of that. But... no, I mean, like, it is what it is. Hopefully, like you said, people will also, I mean, we see also constantly esports team going bankrupt and like CEOs running their like I saw a couple of weeks ago, there was one esports team that apparently the CEO had been constantly taking money away and like run the business into the ground, and some of their players were owed so much money as well, and just full disaster, right? So it's also like a lot of people that don't necessarily belong in these positions get positions, strong positions in an organization because of esports being so new and fresh, and like no one really knows what's the right thing to do in esports at all times. It's just a very tricky area to play around in.
And speaking of Moist Critical, do you call a Moist Critical Charlie Penguins? I've heard all these names.
If I talk about
Penguins, right? Because I remember you and a lot of other people actually struggling with, should I stream on YouTube? Should I not stream on YouTube? I guess, if you follow, I guess you know this, but apparently he made $80,000 from a YouTube VOD, and he showed the metrics of he showed the analytics on screen. I thought it was crazy. And he made this point, and again, I'm saying it's for people who might not have seen it, but apparently, in his opinion, like for live streaming, Twitch is still the best one. It still gives you the most money when it comes to live streaming. But when it comes to VODs, and it can even be the VOD of a stream, it's all on YouTube, and it has the potential to give you so much more money because, again, people sometimes forget this, I think, but YouTube is just a lot bigger than Twitch, orders of magnitude bigger.
But it's also like his channel has so many subs and is so big that it will automatically reach out, like his VODs will automatically reach out to more people to begin with, right?
Yes.
I don't think me streaming on YouTube, I'm suddenly going to end up with a VOD that made $5,000 down the road, right? I mean, you never know, but...
I mean, I don't know how much I can say. I mean, I'm sure I can't say any of the values, but for Gamer Legion, the VODs for the Noble Apartment Cup did very well. I mean, a lot more than usual.
Yeah, makes sense.
I'm pretty sure I'm not allowed to go into specifics, but was very, very good. So just something to keep in mind. Something also that I want to say about this, he said that if you were to start the whole thing one more time, the one thing he would do different, now I'm talking about Spirit Tact again, about the founder of Fox, we're back to Fox now. He said what he would do, he would stick to like 2-3 players maximum. He wouldn't go above that. And he said it's not even like a financial decision. It's more like you want to be able to actually give every player what they need. Yeah. And you want to be able to provide for the players. So just to be sure that you can actually, and also develop sort of a relationship with them and be a little bit of a friend, I guess. And if you have like 10 players, it's hard.
it's hard when you start and things start looking good, and you're like, maybe get more hyped because things are going well. And
Yeah. I'm sure that's what happened for him.
Bigger. Yeah,
exactly. I'm sure that's somewhere what happened.
Yeah.
Okay, so turning our attention to tournaments, we finally have more information on what would be the Rage Forest 6, but has now been renamed to Masters of Rage Forest. This is a 4v4 Black Forest only tournament with a $10,000 prize pool sponsored by Microsoft. The main event will feature 8 teams, 3 of which will be invited, and the other 5 will be chosen through a qualifier. And upon hearing this, my good friend GG Out had a very observant comment, and I quote, "Only 5 teams can qualify? That's almost as bad as the last Nations Cup." End quote. So one of the invited teams, of course, is the mighty and powerful Gamer Legion team. So you, as the most experienced Rage Force player in the team, are you going to be the one calling the strats? What's the plan?
I was asked, hey, does GL accept the invitation? And I told him to contact Doubt because he's our captain. So
Doubt is the captain. Okay.
Yeah. Any questions about Rage Forest or Masters of Rage Forest, as it's called? Please direct them at Doubt. Thank you.
Okay, Doubt is me too much. So, how confident are you? I assume the biggest rivals for you guys are going to be the Amigos. So that's like the Rage Forest, Black Forest team with Modri, Barles, Valis, Ganji, the experts for the map. So, how confident are you can beat them?
I think at this point, me, Doubt, Tato in particular have a lot of Rage Forest experience. Hera a little bit less, but Hera can execute regardless. And
tell him what to do, and he'll do it.
Yeah, I mean, if he knows what to do and we talk to him, he also will have good ideas himself, probably. So I think on paper we should still have really good chances of winning the whole thing. But obviously, it always depends how much time and effort we're putting into it.
Well, how much time and effort are you going to put into it?
Well, I'll show up to play the games, right?
That's more than can be asked for.
that's about it, I think. I think that goes for all of us. Like, I don't think Rage Forest, especially with the way drafting is, I don't think we're going to like, oh, guys, let's get together and train for Rage Forest. It's probably just going to be like, we play Rage Forest on stream whenever we feel like it, have some fun, right? I don't think training necessarily helps us. Obviously, it would help some with synergy and like figure out who wants to be flank and pockets and such. But I think I actually haven't checked how the draft is going to be, but I imagine the drafting is going to be like unpredictable. Let's put it that way. So I don't think we're going to necessarily invest much time into training. But
they're just going to wing it. You're just going to wing it. Okay, so that might make things interesting, actually. We spoke about this with James, if I'm not mistaken, with Dash, that they're ditching the snake format. And in my opinion, this is good because, again, having a team with you, Hera, Doubt, and Tato is always going to generate more viewership, or at least that's the hope. And my hope is that by generating more viewership, they can actually get a bigger prize pool next time, because they're only getting $10,000, and that's been the case for every single, I think, the last 4 at least. The last 4 Rage Forest tournaments. So I hope that's what's going to happen, and maybe they can have more money. Because I think one of the reasons you're saying you're not going to put all that much effort. At the end of the day, $10,000 is really not that much in the context of our scene anymore, which is fine, right? I'm not trying to down the tournament or anything like that. But that's one of my hopes, that this is going to have more viewership and potentially more money next time.
It's always a case of like $10,000 is the prize pool. Sounds like a lot of money.
Divide by 4.
Divided by 4. Divided on multiple spots. Taxes. Yeah, like let's say we get second place behind Amigos, right? I'm not sure what the first place prize pool is, right? And then suddenly you're at like, okay, we're splitting maybe $1,000. And it's okay, $250 each. Okay, 50% tax, Germany. And then it's like, okay,
50.
No, but yeah, no. I mean, have they gotten 10,000 from Microsoft every single time?
I think the first 2 they didn't, but otherwise, I mean, I know for sure last year, and I checked the one before too. I think it was every time $10,000. Before that, I think it was Williams, that's the founder of the Discord server, financing it himself, and it was a little bit less.
Yeah, no, it's cool. I mean, like we've had the snake draft now a couple of editions in a row, right? So I think it's cool to get to see like teams form up the way they want to themselves, to see like the absolute best powerhouses you can get. And yeah, who knows? Maybe next. I think this is not like permanent change, right? Next edition could easily be snake draft again. So
maybe. The main event will go from March 23rd to April 20th, and somewhere in that timeline, I'm hoping to hear more about Mem's next tournament, which I'm very much expecting to be the one following Rage Force. Oh, that look on your face. You already know what's up. Okay, so the tournament calendar shows a 1v1 event from April 21st to June 1st. Now, we've known that for a long time. We know it's a 1v1. So I guess the question, is it Warlords? Is it King of the Desert? Is it something completely different? I'm very much hoping to hear something about that very soon. I can tell you're not going to tell me anything, so
I hope you can hear something as well.
I hope I can hear something as well. All right. Okay, then we have Wallhalla 2. That's a 1v1 tournament organized by John Slow and Ornlu with a $10,000 prize pool as well. Main feature of the tournaments that all maps start with a base walled up, as you sort of would expect with a John Slow tournament. Main event starts March 3rd. That's right after the Titans League. And by the way, today we're not going to be covering the Titans League because, I don't know if you even know this, but now you know, we're going to have a PMT, a post-match talk soon on the tournament with all the boys.
Wait, so we cannot mention a certain specific thing that has happened?
I think it's cool to save it for when Doubt is here,
okay.
and the whole crew is here. has a bigger impact. So save it. What do you want it to say?
What I'm curious about Wallhalla though, right? I played the qualifier like a week ago or 2 weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
Why is the qualifier a month before the event? Is it because of everything else going on that just didn't want to overlap, or do you know?
Possibly.
Yeah.
So this one's going to overlap a little bit with the Garrison, but it's probably only going to be the first stages. So again, starts March 3rd, and the Garrison's going to be, 13th of March, right? So
usually like online qualifiers only have like this gap between main event if it's like a LAN event.
Right, because flights and accommodation
exactly.
and all that crap. Yeah, for sure.
Now we
have
like almost a month gap between qualifier and main event.
Hey, maybe it's a LAN you just don't know about it. Who knows? And Rage Arena, a 4v4 tournament organized by Daniela and played exclusively on the Rage Arena map. So can you talk a little bit about that? What's special about the map? Have you been enjoying the tournament? You're in it?
It's been really fun so far, right? A little bit of a mix-up from Rage Forest. This originated from the Rage Forest community area.
Mm-hmm.
I think Somero got together with T-West, and they made an altered version of Arena where there can be pawns spawning on your town center. You can have extra sheep, you can have extra bears, you can have extra boars, rhinos, except minerals, which is like golden stone. Everything else can be kind of randomized.
Player or what?
And you only have 4 stones inside your base at all times. So if you want to play unique units, you kind of have to expand outwards of your base. There can be extra relics, and there's a lot of golden stones spread out evenly through the middle center of the map. Personally, I think it's a very cool idea and cool alteration of Arena, and it's been a lot of fun to play it so far. And yeah, we're already 2 rounds into the tournament. We're starting the 3rd round. Actually, I'm playing the 3rd round tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
We'll decide our fate. But,
is it against Team... No,
Team
Tato is not... Valas. Okay.
Team Tato is against Team Doubt.
Is it... Oh, okay. So you guys are all in the same group. Wow.
Yeah, me, Tato, and Doubt all got in the same group.
That's crazy. Okay. So I watched... before we started recording, I watched a video of one of Doubt's series on his YouTube channel. So again, I'm supporting the team, huh? And I loved it because, his team... They're so into it. The whole thing
bunch
is
of tryhards, man.
They're so intense, but I love it, man. It's one of the things that I actually dislike about streamers when they're just pretending. I'm not really trying. I love when they try hard, and everybody really so intense. Hey, come here and pinging and all that. And at some point, Doubt was even, wow, why are you guys all so excited? I think he's not used to this, playing with you guys. That's my feeling. I also saw at some point, what was it? That was so funny. So he wanted to drop a castle outside. Yeah. Right. And
I would have been like, go for it. And
right.
Like,
and
no,
Madri...
Don't do a stupid castle.
Right. And Madri was like, no, Doubt, we want to have the 3-0. And Doubt was like, well, the 3-0 helps Viper. And then you show up in the chat too. That was so funny.
The funny thing is they lost that game. If Doubt did the castle...
Oh, true. It ended 2-1. That's true. That's very true.
But yeah, no, Rage Arena also kept the snake draft, right, for the first edition. So that's why we have all these mixed up teams, right? And yeah, I drafted Nearly and John Slow. I don't learn. But
I remember you drafting T90 at some point. Nothing against Tristan, of course, but
after my draft, I'm always seated last every time. I'm not sure if it's like, am I the problem here? Maybe I don't get it. But no, it's been a lot of fun so far. Obviously, playing with new guys. Fun enough, we haven't trained a single set yet. We're just showing up and playing. Like we tried to see if we could schedule some training, but it's been tricky, right?
It's been tricky. Yeah. Let's put it down. Dude, Doubt's team is goated. So I was thinking he's got, what is it again? It's him, Madri.
Yeah.
And I mean, Madri, can you think of a better play for the map? He's a Black Forest expert and an Arena expert. It's like the map was made for him. That's what it feels like, at least.
Doubt didn't show up for the draft. And they picked Madrid to his team to do the draft for him.
So that's why the team is so good. All right.
Like me and Doubt are supposed to draft captain versus captain, right? They don't allow him to draft by himself. It was like, no, we're not drafting unless like the whole team is there telling Doubt what to pick.
I love it.
Like
I love it. That's cool.
Doubt is like he's even like third captain in that team. He's not even captain, yet he is listed as a captain. It's not right. It should be like draft should be like man-to-man, captain to captain,
yeah.
right? Yeah,
yeah. So shake hands, like the meme with the guys arm wrestling. Remember?
I was like, okay, we can just draft, and they're like, nope, not drafting unless like a moderator is there to guide Doubt. So I feel like Doubt is a bit of a coward.
In any case, dude, I've had this experience so many times. I feel like experiencing 4v4 games, 4v4 especially, is so much better when you're following from the perspective of one player. Because it's less overwhelming. You're not seeing the whole, especially for casual players. It's less overwhelming. You're not really seeing what's happening everywhere, but you're still hearing what's happening because you can hear what the teammates are saying. So you can't see the whole map. Of course, you can see what the other team is doing, but it feels like a much less overwhelming situation, and it's so much more emotional and engaging because you hear people really excited. Oh, I'm getting it. It's cool. It's awesome. It's awesome. I think we need to find a way of doing that.
I mean, I can see that, but it's also like you miss a lot of things that you might want to see as well, right? There's always a
how important are they really? How important are they? Yeah. So it's a whole other podcast.
Then again, there's also like if you're watching a cast of 4v4, the amount of times I see them missing things on the minimap and things are happening, right? Which things you kind of would hear on voice potentially. So like you kind of also accidentally hear more and notice more by watching a player's POV with voice. So yeah, maybe. I also prefer to watch POV with voice if I had to choose. So.
And I'm always reminded of Counter-Strike. Counter-Strike, they cast it through the point of view of players. Maybe there's something here but again, that would be a discussion. It would be a discussion for a whole different podcast, I feel like.
Yeah, player POV jumping back and forth with different colors, different...
very different. Very difficult. Yeah, I've spoken about this as well. One of the things that I think, if you're going to keep it as like having full vision of the map, needs to be the mini-map. The mini-map needs to be fixed. Every player on the same team needs to have the same color. I'm 100% sure this would improve the viewing experience, but we'll have time to discuss that at some other point. Yeah, I know we disagree, but it's
as a casual viewer, probably as me, I would prefer to see colors.
Dude, you look at the screen, you see what's happening. You know what happened in Feudal Age. You know what's going to happen in Imperial Age. The 99% of the people are not going to see all of that, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so last but certainly not least, tickets are still available for the Garrison. The initial 200 tickets were already sold out, but apparently Gideon was able to beat the German bureaucracy and get an additional batch of 50 tickets. So if that sounds of interest to you, check the link in the description below. And I don't know if I already told you this, but I've been invited to host a live quiz on stage again. So you're going to get more of me and hopefully a Viper.
I'm not sure if I want to partake. If I have to do guessing what groceries are in that Rewe, then I don't know.
Dude,
no.
That was imposed. That was imposed on me. As you might imagine, if I had the ability to choose, I would not have picked that game. But we had a lot of fights because of that. So
that was not your idea?
As crazy as it might sound, Orion, that was not my idea. In any case, 30-minute quiz. If you guys, tune in. It's going to be fun. It's going to be between both. It's going to be on Sunday. It's going to be live on stage, and it's going to be between the series because there's going to be like two series. There's going to be like the losers bracket final and then the actual final, and in between that, there's going to be a 30-minute quiz. It's going to be cool.
Hopefully, I will not partake because I'm busy.
Well, hopefully, yeah, if you're in the final, but if you're not in the final, I want to have more reach. I want to have more people. So I'm going to force them to pick you. Hey, Gideon, if Viper participates, viewership goes up, bro. So do your thing. In any case, Orion, I think we speedrun this just at the right time. Your kid seems to still be sleeping. We had to be pretty crazy. He's still sleeping. That's crazy. Dude, was fun as always. Again, you guys stay tuned because there's going to be a lot of content in the channel in the next days. So the PMT, yes. We're going to have a guest ELO video dropping anytime now. It should have been a long time ago, but hey. Then the PMT and then all the stuff that's going to be happening in the Garrison. So
are we calling it PMT now? Do people know what PMT means?
Post-match talk. You know, the true OGs.
Know the abbreviation?
The true OGs.
The PMT is coming up.
Yo, PMT, yeah. The true OGs know what's up. All right, Orion, see you soon. And everybody, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, all of that. And we'll see each other very soon again.
Take care.